show how this project evolved, and we're all taking parts of that really. So I'm going to start off with explaining what chaplaincy is in higher education. So the hands that serve are holier than the lips that pray is a quote from Bhagat Kabir. And what this project is it's totally voluntary. So nobody that has participated in the chaplaincy programme has been paid, and the value of Serva then is obviously clear, and we're going to explain that as we go. And what we found is through a recent report in Coventry in 2019, I say recent because it was through COVID, so it's still recent, just to be slower. The Sikh chaplains only make up 2% of all UK chaplains in the whole of UK. 2% is really small, it's not even matching the population, Sikh population. And there's only actually one part-time role that is paid in the whole of UK. That's part-time. And chaplains can be chaplains, or they can be faith leaders, they can be faith advisors, and they can be multi-faith as well in these settings. And this multi-faith model is really taking off at the moment. And sadly, one problem with it is the other faiths are being diluted within it, because the majority of them are white British, chaplains. So there's quite an issue with that. Hence, this project was necessary. Oops. So yeah, we've been on TV. Myself, Amarjit Singh, who can't join us today, and Trishna Singh, who's with us on the panel today as well. I just wanted to say I call PBC TV because it's the only TV channel that I get invited to go on, and they're quite struggling at the moment for finances. So everybody can make a pledge to leave this room and pay £10 towards it today, or set up a regular direct debit. That's really important because they really need that. So this project, initial stage was really an audit of HEIs to see have we got Sikh presence in the chaplains. So that was pretty much initiated by Harjinder Singh Lally, I think at the time. We got a team of people looking on the websites back 2 years ago, and we found very little information. In fact, we found only 17 university sites out of potential 150 that weren't all, some were private, had information about Sikhs, chaplains or faith advisors on there. No information was on any of the websites looking at faith articles or Sikh events, nothing like that. So if you were a lecturer that wanted to find out about Sikhi because you've ended up with 5 Sikh students, you want to know about their culture, you couldn't just go on the chaplaincy website and get that information easily. And only 2 sites actually mentioned their local Gurdwara, which was a central point for resources for international students and COVID support at the time. The middle stage then, we then invited 20 providers, universities, who attended a meeting with us, and they were consulted on chaplaincy and faith-based models. We've still got the data for that as well, and asked what did they need from those chaplaincies. We populated a service level agreement with our pilot site, which was Oxford Brookes, and we will talk about that in a moment when we get round to it. And the priority needs in that audit was they needed faith advice, they needed support for students, and they did need to link with Gurdwara. Well, obviously that's what we found anyway, but nobody was sort of reaching out to those universities and really saying that we can provide this service, and we kind of closed that gap by doing so, but we could only get as far as a pilot this year. Then we used demand-based recruitment. Basically, we met with the universities, we advertised, we put stuff on our LinkedIn to say, we want people that are interested. We matched last year's conference. There's a picture there somewhere where we matched chaplains with the universities that came along, or faith advisors. Sorry, when I say chaplains, I mean faith advisors as well. And we have now recruited, or going through that onboarding stage, at about 7 pilot sites. And I call them pilot sites because they are pilot sites. We need to prove that the role of Sikh chaplaincy is going to be effective. And does chaplaincy work? So there was some research in 2020, albeit it wasn't, it was in America, and it was a really good paper which said that actually chaplaincy work tended to the soul of the university. It helped to connect and show that we cared about the whole student need. And chaplains from a non-Christian background contribute to student well-being in a way that was not previously known. Yeah. And from that, and some of the work that we've done, we have developed a Sikh Chaplaincy faith leader model, and there's a theoretical framework there which comes from actually my profession of cognitive behavioural therapy, and it's called Compassionate Mind. And using that, it's very much very similar to Sikhi in terms of being kind to each other. You know, all it needs is somebody, you know, all we're looking for really is these kind people to be kind to students. That's compassion. Teaching them to self-soothe. So that's what the model's really about. And there are some core concepts really around that, around accurate empathy, mindfulness, things that we do as Sikhs anyway. So that theoretical framework's really useful. And we use that to develop some core concepts, and we've developed some key principles of Sikh chaplain in higher education, although some of these are applicable in other prison chaplaincies and NHS as well. But I think that's probably the first model that we've tried to do in the whole of UK around Sikh chaplaincy. I haven't seen one anywhere else before. I could be wrong. But anyway, it's synergised through the work that we've done. And it pretty much looks at relearning compassion and seva. You know, there will be people that will say to us, well, shouldn't chaplains be getting paid to be doing this service? We'd love the money, we'd love a funding part. But on the original pilot, it's been people that have been volunteering their seva, really. And I think that's really important because it fills a gap for those students that perhaps don't want to go to mental health services because of the stigma, but just need someone to talk to. You know, there's probably people in this room that I've spoken to when I'm having a hard time, you know, and I think you need that solidarity. And it's just some other principles around kind of selfless service, as we've said, addressing needs, supervision and reflective practice, comprehensive risk management. We're not just there to risk assess and find out what are the risks, we need to manage that risk. And and we'll do a little bit of on supervision in a moment. And just event planning, again, this is just stuff that we've been doing and we've developed into these principles. Okay, I'll hand over to Dr. Gurnam Singh then for his slide. Thank you.
I'm going to be very quick. I mean, I'm a Sikh faith advisor here at Warwick University. I've been for a number of years. I followed on for Harjinder. It was big shoes to replace, but I've learned a lot in the process as well. And one of the things that you know, the chaplaincy work in university is that we're not here to convert people towards Sikhi or to make people become better Sikhs. You know what I mean? It's not a preaching role, although some people might think that's the case. Partly because the students haven't come here to be preached at. But that doesn't mean that they don't have needs and identity issues and that. And there's lots of research saying that Sikh students underperform in higher education, that their degree classifications are less, not just Sikhs, there are other South Asian communities as well, and that there's a massive correlation between sense of belonging and degree awarding or outcome. So I think that the chaplaincy projects can really enhance students' sense of belonging if it's done in a way that doesn't make them feel kind of that they're being watched. Yeah. So I think it's really important that we get that balance right. And I mean, we've got the Warwick students here. There is a sense that, I don't know about you, but when I went to university as an undergraduate, I was petrified. And, you're kind of looking around. You're not quite sure who to make friends with. But when you see a Sikh, you do kind of feel a bit relieved. And, you start off with the kind of nod. Have you seen the, the famous nod? Yeah. And then it's a fateh, and then maybe then we'll have a party or something. But seriously... it's overwhelming research that correlates educational success to a sense of belonging, and I think chaplaincy can enhance that. And Sikh students have complex identities, so one size doesn't fit all. Really important to do that. And I mean, in some sense, that's, you know, we all want people to become, you know, we want Sikhi to, you know, follow, you know, it should, you know, expand. But the best way to do that is to kind of just practice Sikhi rather than to tell somebody else to become better Sikhs, yeah? Non-judgmental dialogue built on an ethic of care. You know, coming back to what Hardinda said. And this unconditional acceptance as well, that's, you know, these principles of kind of basic counselling is, it's got to be non-judgmental. And in fact, I think we did a few years ago at Warwick, we had a bit of a situation where people were coming in who were kind of making them feel bad about themselves, being bad Sikhs, and you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And actually students were saying, we don't want to come to the Sikh society if that's what it's for, yeah? So I do think that, you know, we do need to respect students' autonomy, but also still feel that we can give them some kind of care and love, yeah. So I'm going to stop there, and I don't know who's on the next slide.
Lovely, thank you. So next over to Kamaljit Kaur, who has been a chaplain of ours, and Kamaljit Kaur prior is not here today, it's an emergency. So Kamaljit is going to speak for both these chaplains that have been appointed.
Shall I go there?
Stay there if you like.
Yeah.
Microphone.
Oh, microphone.
Just pass it on.
I think my voice can be heard.
So did you?
Okay. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Kamaljit Kaur, and I'm just newly appointed Sikh Faith Advisor and Chaplain for Sheffield Hallam University. And obviously, like Harjinder touched on the Seva, Sikhi actually teaches us Seva. That's our core principle. I'm sure all of us who are sitting here, like whether we do anything else, but we actually do Seva. It doesn't matter whether you do it in the Gurdwara or at home or in the community. So this is what actually motivated me, especially when I'm actually at retirement age, and I've served 30 years of social work, and been teaching at the Gurdwara 30 years. And so obviously this is what inspired me. I really want to, from the heart, I want to say thank you to SikhsInAcademia, giving us this opportunity to do the Seva. The Seva can be done very different way, and it actually has made worthwhile in short space, I would say, isn't it, as well? That sharing my skills, and like because I have had the opportunity to help students at this Hallam University, and not, like as I was saying, it's not about preaching Sikhi, it's about having a listening ear. Just especially when the students are away from the parents, from the families, don't think, you know, like, and also going through very difficult, academic times. And so I've made a very good links with the well-being advisors, and it has been really worthwhile. I must say that I was telling some of the people, I will actually recommend anybody who wants to do voluntary work, and they should come forward. So it's nothing, you're not going to, you're basically serving the community, and it's not about just about Sikh students, other students as well. And you're using your everyday skills. Skills are transferable. So that's what I haven't had to have any training as such. It just, and you're not just helping the students, you're helping the universities, making links to the community, local community, and basically we're actually helping our community to make the links with academics as well. I think that's all I have to say. And I do want to say a big thank you to SikhsInAcademia, and I must say that just continue. This is a very great work, and I think it needs to continue. Thank you so much. Thanks. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
They actually are having training in the form of rants on WhatsApp and mandatory training for the university. Thank you.
Sorry, I did do induction actually, that's right, thank you.
Okay, just a little bit from Mongol.
I don't know what I'm going to. So I'm not a Sikh chaplain, but on behalf of SikhsInAcademia, my role is to develop the professional development of the Sikh chaplains that we've appointed in post. So we've kind of worked together as a team to kind of develop a framework where the chaplains can come together to talk about experiences. situations. So most of the time I would imagine that the advice that the chaplains are giving are kind of at the low level, situations, but we can encounter kind of crisis situations. What do we do with those crisis situations? And we recognise that there's a lack of kind of formal training for chaplains in the academic space. There might be formal training, obviously, in the NHS realm. So we're hoping to kind of develop this platform with our Sikh chaplains so that they can share case examples, anonymised case examples, and see if we can kind of have that peer-to-peer learning, and we can start learning how we can escalate these situations to the best appropriate person. Because I think when we were doing the initial audit, what we recognised is that some of the universities were signposting people to the Gurdwaras. The situation is, if a student's in crisis and they call that number at the Gurdwara, who are they actually speaking to? Is that person a trained kind of advisor or not? We don't know. So we don't want to kind of disadvantage our students in that way. But that's my kind of role and contribution to the Sikh Chaplaincy project. Thank you.
So I guess part of the role is signposting to trauma-informed providers, training ourselves alongside, and also signposting to psychological service on campus where there is a need. Okay. So next we've got Trishna. Sadly, Amarjeet cannot attend, so I'm going to just say a few words on his behalf because he's had an emergency health issue.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So I've been a Sikh chaplain to Edinburgh University for the past 13 years, and I think when you did your audit you missed Scotland because it's been in place for 13 years. I'm also featured on the chaplaincy website, and there are links to the Gurdwara, but they know that the first point of contact may not be the Gurdwara, and I come from a community development background, so my organisation Sikhs has been running for 36 years, and so we provide family support and links to various places for support. But over the years, in my experience of listening to students, I've understood that even although we may be into third, fourth, or even fifth generations of Sikhs being born and raised in the UK, and we may think that we have lost our roots, and the coin the Punjabi phrase, Sare Gore Ban Gaye Ne, it's actually not so simple. When we're talking about counselling and support at all levels, there is still very much the notion of our young people thinking it's not for me. But one of the reasons, and I feel is it's hard for them to admit that they still have those deep-rooted cultural roots that cannot be severed so easily. Its intergenerational stigma has made access to therapy very difficult. So when you say to students that would you like some counselling or therapy, it's still very much, it's entrenched in the thought that they think that the counsellors or the therapists are not going to understand where they're coming from. So however, the picture is changing, and through more trained counsellors and CBT becoming more widely available, including, I feel, lots of cultural competence training has been put into those training, and people are beginning to understand the differences between culture and religion and how it affects young people. For example, at Edinburgh University, we were awarded the higher education in 2022 for support of student wellbeing. They created a listening service, and that has a diverse group of faith chaplains in it, and they're trained in coaching, counselling, mentoring, mental health, spiritual direction, suicide prevention and bereavement. And they're all all the chaplains have contacts. If a student wishes to have spiritual support, then we will refer them or get them and put them in touch with somebody that can provide that. But our listening service was based on the NHS Community Listening Service, and that provides a lot of support in integrating diverse psychotherapy approaches. One of the ones is the Rogerian principles, and I think that's quite in line with the Sinki principles of empathy, so being able to put oneself in another one's shoes, congruence, to be self-aware of our own biases, and unconditional positive regard, to show compassion and acceptance without judgment. Also over the years I've come across the Sikh Mental Health Directory, and that has many Sikh counsellors listed, but they're all based in England, which is good for you, but not good for us in Scotland. So So I'm hoping somebody will come to Scotland. But I know that Harjinder will be presenting at the European Association for Behavioural and Cognitive Therapies Congress in September. And it's actually in Glasgow, so that means that there'll be the first sort of representation from the Sikh community at that event. And I think that's a huge step for our community. And I really hope that we can continue to go forward and interact at this level. And one of the main things is, before I finish, is that we must continue to raise awareness within our community. It's not always about outside, it's in our community and needs to be addressed, because we don't always want to talk about it or admit within the community that this is still there and it's still prevalent. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for that wonderful talk, both of you, well, the three of you. I know Amarjeet's not here, but let me just tell you a little bit about Amarjeet Singh. He's over in Wales. He's been really powerful in terms of implementing a chaplaincy programme. So, you know, Scotland already established, and we've now got a chaplaincy site at Swansea University, only recently started. It's one of those 7 sites. So we've worked from Scotland to Wales to make this happen. We've worked everywhere really, I would say, and we've got that site. And some of the problems around that in Wales in particular are the international students, really, you know, in terms of getting support for them. And because it's quite a widely dispersed area, Sikhs are everywhere except, you know, but very sort of widely dispersed. There's no Gurdwara in North Wales, which we found out through our adventures doing other things, but anyway, with holidays and stuff. And it's quite an issue there then, because those students can't access Gurdwara support in the north of Wales. I'm pretty sure that's the case. And so, you know, we've identified gaps by doing this work as well. And then we've also noticed that there are funds. So those that thought that they were going to get that kind of high-profile job in chaplaincy in a few years' time, it's not really going to happen, because the funding cuts have happened around Christian chaplaincy. So this multi-faith model is going to just gazum. So we have 2 choices. We either ask the Gurdwara very kindly to support our faith reading positions locally and link in with the universities, which is unlikely to happen, or we do Seva. And that's why this project was developed as well. So it's great that we've been able to have linkages in Swansea, and hopefully Gurdwara will see the strength of this project and the outcomes and come on board as well. So I've left you there then, Randeep.
Are you going to run through the slides? Or just
I'll run through the slides as you speak, so you might need to see them. You want to come here?
Okay.
If you stand over there, then
Yeah.
or you can press it.
No, you press, because I'll get confused. Okay. It's bad enough as it is. Oh, okay. Oh, there's a. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Sat Sri Akal ji, Vaheguru ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki Fateh. First of all, thank Harjinder for giving me the opportunity of becoming the Sikh chaplain at Oxford Brookes. And I've also got to convey thanks for my wife, because I get out of the house on Tuesday to get to Oxford Brookes, and that's the day when the cleaning lady comes. Okay. So it's a win-win situation. Okay. So Oxford Brookes, next to Big Brother Oxford, is actually what I call a normal university. My daughter was at the other Oxford, and it's a strange place, that one is. And there's one big difference, that a lot of the Indians and the Sikhs there are actually from India, rather than from here. So, next slide, please. So there's a chaplaincy, it's a multi-faith chaplaincy, but that's essentially a place, a couple of rooms where people may come as a safe place to talk, and then contact is these days, internet, phone, and all that. Okay, that's not quite my way, and what I've tried to do is be more proactive, because I'm going there. Bus stops outside my house, get on, and it actually stops outside the university. So that works out very well. And they have a big place to meet, which they call the forum. So I make myself seen there. I go there and I sit there from about 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And essentially I'm showing myself to others that I'm a chaplain because they see what you're doing there. And of course, I'm only trying to be a Sikh. So there's the Sikhs, but I'll find Hindus, I'll find Gujaratis, and mercifully, having been brought up in East Africa, I can speak Gujarati, Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu. I've even had Muslim students who see a Sardar and want to talk Punjabi and so on. So it's about inclusion. And essentially, I want myself to be seen and to be known to these people rather than somebody in the chaplaincy who they can contact on the phone as a faceless person. And when they know I'm a chaplain and they know that really the even as a Sikh chaplain, faith advisor if you like, but really the chaplaincy is for all. Okay, so I will be called upon to help whatever their faith. Okay, come on the next one please. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, can we see the slide itself? One thing we realized when we went there is that there was no Sikh society at Oxford Books, and some energetic students who were here yesterday, they set it up. And we tried to show the inclusivity of Sikhi, and brilliant idea, turban tying events, we had 2 or 3 of them, and we really got people excited. People, of course Indians, but also Ukrainians, who when they realized what Sikhi was all about, said they wanted to be Sikhs to go and fight the Russians, So that's what we've been doing here. So this guy, we put a beautiful turban on to him. I gave him my best, and he changed his name, at least for that event, to Stephen Sink. Okay. Anymore? Okay. The other thing that we're trying very hard, it's a small community, but Oxford University, the older Oxford University, a few more Sikhs there, and they have these fantastic functions, and we joined them in a Vaisakhi function, which is really incredible, with a big dinner, and being close to London, my links to London, we brought lots of people there. The prestige of Oxford University had dinner there, the whole function. So we're using that. I think it's fine to use that connection to build up, what shall we say, more confidence in people to apply to the best universities, and for people to come enjoy these functions, rich people from London who may then contribute to all the Sikh events. Okay, that's it. So I'll stop. And you've got.